What if I told you that the greatest mind in human history could have revolutionized artificial intelligence decades before we even knew what a computer was? What if Albert Einstein, the man who gave us relativity and showed us that time itself could bend, was alive today in 2025? Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating what-if scenarios in science history. We're exploring how Einstein's revolutionary thinking would tackle two of the most groundbreaking technologies of our time: artificial intelligence and quantum computing. But before we begin this incredible journey through time and possibility, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because we're about to explore ideas that could literally reshape how you think about the future of technology.
To understand how Einstein would approach AI and quantum computing, we first need to understand what made his mind so extraordinary. Einstein wasn't just brilliant, he had a completely different way of thinking about problems. When Einstein developed the theory of relativity, he didn't start with complex mathematics. He started with thought experiments. He imagined himself riding alongside a beam of light. He wondered what would happen if he were in a falling elevator. These weren't just random daydreams, they were sophisticated mental tools that allowed him to see beyond the limitations of conventional thinking. Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." He believed that the most profound discoveries came not from accumulating facts, but from asking the right questions and imagining new possibilities. He was also deeply suspicious of overcomplicated solutions, famously stating that everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Now imagine this mind, this perfect combination of revolutionary imagination and elegant simplicity, working in a modern laboratory in 2025, surrounded by quantum computers and AI systems. The possibilities are absolutely staggering.
Here's something most people don't know. Einstein actually worked with some of the earliest computing concepts. During World War II, he collaborated with mathematicians who were developing computational methods. But more importantly, his work on statistical mechanics and probability theory laid groundwork that's absolutely crucial to modern AI. Einstein's understanding of statistical systems, how countless individual particles create emergent behaviors, is remarkably similar to how artificial neural networks function. In a neural network, millions of simple connections create complex, intelligent behavior. Einstein would have immediately recognized this pattern from his work on thermodynamics. But here's where Einstein would have taken AI in a completely different direction. Current AI systems learn through brute force. They process massive amounts of data until they find patterns. Einstein would have been fascinated by this, but I believe he would have asked a more fundamental question: what is learning really? Einstein might have approached AI through thought experiments. Imagine him asking, if I were a machine trying to understand the world, what would be the most elegant way to do it? He wouldn't be satisfied with black box neural networks that we can't interpret. He'd want to understand the fundamental principles of intelligence itself. I believe Einstein would have developed what we might call principle-based AI, systems that don't just learn patterns, but discover fundamental principles about reality. Instead of training on billions of images to recognize a cat, Einstein's AI might discover the underlying geometric and physical principles that define catness. This would create AI systems that are not just more efficient, but more trustworthy and interpretable. We'd understand exactly why the AI makes each decision, because it would be based on clear, logical principles, rather than mysterious statistical correlations.
Now this is where things get really interesting. Einstein famously struggled with quantum mechanics, declaring that God does not play dice with the universe. He spent the latter part of his career trying to find a more elegant, deterministic explanation for quantum phenomena. But here's the fascinating paradox. Einstein's objections to quantum mechanics led him to discover quantum entanglement, what he called spooky action at a distance. This phenomenon, which he thought proved quantum mechanics was incomplete, is now the foundation of quantum computing. If Einstein were alive today and saw quantum computers actually working, I believe he would have had one of two reactions. Either he'd be absolutely fascinated that his spooky action at a distance actually enables computation, or he'd be even more determined to find the underlying classical explanation. But knowing Einstein, I think he'd embrace quantum computing while simultaneously trying to make it more elegant and understandable. Current quantum computers are incredibly fragile and error-prone. They require near absolute zero temperatures and perfect isolation from the environment. Einstein would have asked, why are we fighting against decoherence? What if we could design quantum systems that work with environmental noise rather than against it? He might have developed room temperature quantum computers by finding clever ways to use environmental interactions as computational resources rather than seeing them as problems to overcome. Remember, Einstein spent his later years searching for a unified field theory, a single elegant equation that would explain all the physics. He would likely approach quantum computing as part of this larger quest. Instead of seeing quantum computers as isolated devices, he might envision them as windows into the fundamental structure of reality itself. Imagine quantum computers that don't just perform calculations, but reveal deeper truths about the nature of space, time, and information. Einstein's quantum computers might not just solve optimization problems, they might help us understand the universe itself.
Now we come to the most exciting possibility. What if Einstein combined his revolutionary approaches to both AI and quantum computing? The result would be quantum artificial intelligence, and it would be unlike anything we can imagine today. Current AI systems are fundamentally classical. They process information sequentially, even when they're massively parallel. But Einstein's quantum AI would process information in fundamentally quantum ways. It wouldn't just consider one possibility at a time. It would exist in superposition of all possible thoughts simultaneously. Imagine an AI that doesn't learn by processing training data, but by exploring quantum superpositions of all possible solutions to a problem. This AI could discover scientific principles not by analyzing existing data, but by quantum tunneling through the space of all possible theories. But here's where Einstein's unique perspective becomes crucial. He wouldn't create quantum AI that's just faster or more powerful. He'd create quantum AI that thinks like he did, through elegant thought experiments that reveal deep truths about reality. Picture an AI that could run Einstein-style thought experiments at quantum speeds. It could imagine riding alongside photons, explore the implications of different physical laws, and discover new principles about the universe, all in quantum superposition. This raises profound questions that Einstein would have loved. If consciousness involves quantum effects, as some theories suggest, then Einstein's quantum AI might not just simulate intelligence, it might actually achieve a form of quantum consciousness. Einstein was deeply interested in the relationship between mind and reality. He might have seen quantum AI not just as a tool, but as a way to understand consciousness itself. What is the quantum nature of thought? How does observation collapse the wave function of ideas into concrete insights? Einstein's quantum AI wouldn't just play games or recognize images. It would tackle the deepest questions in science, unified field theories, the nature of dark matter and dark energy, the relationship between quantum mechanics and gravity. It might even help us understand why the universe is structured the way it is.
If Einstein were developing AI and quantum computing today, the impact on scientific progress would be absolutely revolutionary. Instead of scientists spending decades testing hypotheses, Einstein's quantum AI could explore thousands of theoretical frameworks simultaneously. We might solve climate change not through incremental improvements in renewable energy, but by discovering entirely new physics that makes energy generation trivial. We might understand aging and disease by uncovering the quantum informational processes that govern biological systems. Einstein was passionate about education and deeply concerned about how knowledge was taught. His AI systems wouldn't just provide information, they would guide students through the same kind of thought experiments that led to his greatest discoveries. Imagine learning physics not by memorizing equations, but by experiencing Einstein-style thought experiments. Students could ride alongside light beams, explore curved space-time, and discover the principles of relativity for themselves. But Einstein was also deeply concerned about the ethical implications of scientific discoveries. He famously regretted his role in the development of nuclear weapons. If he were developing quantum AI, he would be intensely focused on ensuring it benefits all of humanity. Einstein believed in world government and international cooperation. His quantum AI would likely be designed from the ground up to be transparent, beneficial, and accessible to all nations. He wouldn't want to create technology that could be monopolized by any single country or corporation. Einstein would also grapple with fundamental questions about AI control and alignment. But his approach would be characteristically elegant. Instead of trying to control AI through complex restrictions, he might design AI systems that are naturally aligned with human values because they understand the fundamental principles that make cooperation and peace more elegant than conflict.
Einstein wasn't just a physicist. He was a philosopher who asked deep questions about the nature of reality. If he were working with quantum AI today, he would inevitably confront some of the most profound questions in existence. What is the relationship between information and reality? If quantum AI can exist in superposition of thoughts, what does that tell us about the nature of mind? If artificial systems can discover new principles about the universe, what makes human intelligence special? Einstein believed in the fundamental unity of all knowledge. His quantum AI wouldn't be separate systems for different problems. It would be a unified approach to understanding reality itself. Science, philosophy, art, and human experience would all be part of a single, elegant framework. And finally, Einstein would ask the ultimate question: what is the purpose of intelligence, artificial or otherwise? He believed that the goal of science was not just to accumulate knowledge, but to understand our place in the cosmos and to create a better world for all humanity. Einstein's quantum AI wouldn't just be smarter than us. It would help us become wiser. It would help us understand not just how the universe works, but why it exists and what our role in it should be.
As we imagine Einstein in 2025 working with quantum computers and artificial intelligence, we see more than just technological advancement. We see a vision of science that's both revolutionary and deeply human, both incredibly sophisticated and elegantly simple. Einstein's greatest gift wasn't his intelligence, it was his imagination and his commitment to using knowledge to benefit all humanity. As we develop AI and quantum computing in our own time, we would do well to ask ourselves, what would Einstein do? The technologies we're developing today will shape the future of human civilization. Let's make sure we approach them with Einstein's curiosity, his ethical commitment, and his unwavering belief that the universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it's stranger than we can imagine.
What do you think? How do you imagine Einstein would approach the challenges and opportunities of our technological age? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating journeys through the possibilities of science and history.